Hi, and welcome to my channel,
Yeah.
the Vivian Reed channel. And listen, if you're joining me for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like. So today, I have, I have a former student. A former student. Ooh, look out now. Okay, lovely, talented performer. And I said performer, not singer, because that's already a given. Performer. And we'll talk about what that is. Her name is Jordan Tyson. Hey, Jordan.
Hey,
How you doing?
Viv.
Oh, you look so pretty.
Thank you so much. I had to get ready because tip from Viv number one is don't show up on camera looking crazy.
All right, now see you, and baby, you look gorgeous. So listen, tell me about film and TV. I think you've been working like in that area, right, girl? Tell
Yeah.
me.
So last October, my film debut came out on Netflix. You can catch it. It's called Vampires versus the Bronx. It's a hilarious movie. And it's great representation of people of color, and it was so fun. There's a lot of comedians in it. It's hilarious.
And
And
it's a
then
vampire thing.
also,
You said a vampire,
yes, Vampires versus the
girl. Are you sucking
Bronx.
blood? What's going on?
Oh, no, no, no. I'm from the Bronx,
Oh,
okay? I'm fighting the vampires.
all right.
Yes. And then later this year, I will have my television debut out. It's called The Chair, and that's also coming to Netflix. It's starring Sandra Oh, the Queen,
Oh.
and Jay Duplass. There's a bunch of amazing people in that. So keep an eye out for that.
So now let's go back to the beginning, Jordan. When did you
Take me.
realize that you were a singer, or that you wanted to be a singer, or that you had something, sounds that were coming out of your throat that said you should be a singer? When did that all start, and at what age?
Oh my gosh. I remember going on family road trips, right? And there would be a brand new song on the radio, and I would be humming it. And all my siblings would be like, how do you even know this song? It just came out. But I didn't know. I was like 8 or something. And I had just this knack for picking up chord progressions and melodies and things like that. So that's kind of when it all started. And music teachers along the way always tried to get me to do solos, but I was so shy
Really?
until, yeah, so shy. I never sang. Well, I would do solos sometimes, but I wouldn't even look up from the microphone. I would just be terrified to even acknowledge there were people there. And then in middle school, I started to read sheet music and be like, whoa, what is this? I need to know how to work this. I need to
Wait a
know
minute, wait a
what
minute,
this
wait a minute.
says.
When you say you started to read sheet music, no one ever instructed you on how to read it. You were just picking that up on your own?
Well, I had never done a formal like chorus class or anything. I never had formal
Amazing.
lessons until I came to you.
Okay. Oh my God. That's amazing. That's a gift. I hope you realize that is
Yeah.
a part of your gift. You know, your beginnings are not really unlike mine, because my mother and father said that I was making melodious tones at 3. I don't remember that. And my
Mm-hmm.
mother said that she said to my father, I think our daughter's going to be a singer. I remember them taking me to the Pittsburgh Musical Institute, which is not in existence anymore, but to the Pittsburgh
Mm-hmm.
Musical Institute to see a lady by the name of Mrs. Romaine Russell. And she listened to me, but she said I was too young and to come back at 8. So when you said 8,
It's
that triggered
always
that
that,
memory.
yeah, at that age, something new.
Yes, and so that was the beginning of me studying. Okay, so all right, so when you became my student,
Mm-hmm.
I was your first teacher. You had never studied voice.
The way that I studied voice was in a choral aspect. And so a lot of people in the New York public school system will probably understand. I don't know how it is for other like chorus classes across the states, but
Right.
a big thing we did was try out for these county choruses,
Mm-hmm.
where it's students from all over your county or all over the state or all over the Eastern Coast. And so I really, really, really wanted to be in these. And my teacher made me try out as an alto, not as a soprano, because he was like,
Oh.
I think you have a better chance of getting in. But I was like, I'm not an alto. I don't think I am.
That's funny
So
because usually the favor it's more toward the sopranos as opposed to altos. Maybe because they were in need of altos because they had an abundance of
possibly,
sopranos. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead, baby.
possibly, who knows?
Hmm.
So training training for those is where I started lessons, which is like once a week. I would get to work 15 or 20 minutes with my chorus teacher on a solo for this choir audition. And that's the only real like formal training I had
Okay.
voice wise. But it was excellent training because I was learning how to blend. I was
Yes.
learning, skills that are complementary to being a soloist and
Yes.
especially being in musical theater too, and knowing how to work with other voices. So
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's get to it.
yeah.
So all of my students, every last one of them, and they're young,
Mm.
they stare. They focus at a point right in front.
Oh,
Don't
the
say nothing yet. Wait a
staring.
minute.
I
Wait a minute. Wait
know,
a
I
minute.
know.
They focus at a point right in front of them. Well, I've got my hands all in front of my face. Everybody does it until they get to me, and then they have to break that habit. Okay, you did it as well. Who told you to do that, or did you see other people doing it and you just kind of copy them? Where'd that come from for you?
Probably both, but in these auditions for that chorus, that was like a thing that we were taught to do.
Wait a
Just
minute, hold it, hold
focus.
it, hold it. So the choir director or chorus director or whatever you want to call them, the musical director, they actually told you to do this.
Yeah, I mean that's how it's like the way that it's explained is like focus on one, place and
And this
tell
is
the
in your
story that way.
solos. I'm more interested in your solos. That may be a look that he or she might want for the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
But did was it a man or a woman?
It was a man.
So did this man, gentleman, also ask you to do this when you were singing your solos?
There was really also no guidance. It was either, focus on one spot or you just do your own thing.
Be, because when you all get to me, huh, it's in it's ingrained in you and it's hard to break. Of course, I threatened you. What was a tipping point for you? Because a couple other students, more than a couple others, told me what I said to make them get in line.
Oh
Was
my
there
gosh.
anything that I said to you that told you, uh-oh, okay, I better do this, or she's gonna have me for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Can you remember?
About the staring, I think it was mostly the fear that, like, if I didn't do something, if I didn't see something else from this one point, that maybe she's gonna drop me. And I was like, I don't think that there is gonna be a better vocal teacher for me. So I need to learn how to break this shit because I
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is good. That's good.
can't leave.
So when you evolved, and that's what it was, um, and you realized what performing is all about. Okay, let me go back a bit. When you were performing these songs, your solos, and you were focusing, as they say, what was in your mind? What was your thought process? What were you thinking as you were performing?
The stillness is based in fear, really. It's like, it's not about the performance, it's about
Oh my God.
getting this thing out that you're supposed to do, or and so in a way it takes away the whole joy of performing, which is why people who have that habit or have had that ingrained in them probably don't even want to perform anymore
I got to
because you're
tell the
not.
viewers, I have to tell the viewers, I'm hearing a lot of this for the first time. Not the point about me saying that she had to learn how to perform and stop the staring. That's a given when you study with me. But I'm just hearing things from you, Jordan, that because I've never really asked somebody,
Mm.
what were you thinking when you were staring? What, and it's so interesting that you say it was coming from a point of fear and not really dealing with the lyrics. That is mind-boggling. But go ahead,
Oh
baby. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, it's so true. And you don't, especially I mean, when I met you, I was 18, and I
Yes, you
don't
were.
necessarily have the words to even know that's what was happening or whatever. But it's a powerful thing to be able to, and it can be a daunting thing for some people to really dive into the story and know it inside and out in order to, as opposed to focus on one point, to
Hmm.
have a stillness that is powerful and allows you to paint the whole picture.
Yes.
It's like focus as opposed to stillness. I
Yes.
think can
Um,
it doesn't necessarily have to be still, but um
well,
yeah.
it's funny because when you really go into the zone, get into the message, the lyrics of that song, it really makes you less nervous when you go into an audition because, I mean, like when I sing, I don't audition that much anymore, but when I sing, even when I was auditioning, it was always a performance. It was,
Mm-hmm.
I have literally gotten standing ovations at auditions, even if I didn't get the role because I was not the right type or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it is a freedom to be expressive in your song and to tell the story. So tell me how you feel now when you're singing.
Oh, I heard so many stories. I've gotten the opportunity to hear so many stories of Broadway veterans and people who are on Broadway now and things. And it's always funny to hear, the moments with the most pressure, or those moments when your 9 o'clock number is coming on, or like whatever, your big song is coming up, and then it happens that you don't even remember it because
Mhm.
you were in another world.
Yes, girl.
You were in another. I have chills right now. I got goosebumps. That's how it feels. It's like you get everything inside and out so that when the moment comes, it's not you. Well, we're speaking from musical theater, but even singing a
Even singing in
song,
clubs, I think
yeah.
anything that you sing, anywhere you perform, whether it's nightclubs, concerts, or theater, performance is performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in nightclubs, you have to deal with the audience. You can't sing above their heads and take
Yeah.
them somewhere like you would in theater. You have to make them feel a part of your show. Having said that, girl, I went to a show where this show was supposed to be all about cabaret. Cabaret. What is
Mm-hmm.
cabaret? Cabaret is you break that fourth wall and you're dealing with the audience. You talk to the audience. You sing to the audience. Do you know that I had two students in this show. They were at the very end of the show. Everybody that got, with the exception of one other girl who was a young lady who was not my student, everyone that got on that mic came straight to the mic, did like this, stared, and delivered their
Oh,
song. They
goodness gracious.
never looked at the audience, never talked to them. This is what cabaret is. So how
Yeah.
could you take this kind of class and not be instructed that this is not a theater delivery? This is nightclubs where you must communicate with your audience. Every audience member should feel that you are singing to them, telling them the story, setting up your songs, making it real for them. And
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing to watch until my two students came on because we work on cabaret delivery. If they've mastered the other stuff and they want to, try some jazz or some R&B and whatever, then we go in that direction. So it's so wonderful that you have arrived at this, and it I don't I don't remember it taking you long. Some of the students have gone into a second semester still. When they get uptight, they go straight to focus because that's their
Hmm.
safety. They feel it's their safety. I don't remember you having that issue. I think once you got it, you were just there.
It's like you can't go back because it feels so
Can't.
good. And the word you just said was for Cabaret, communicate to your audience. And the word it brings up for me is it has to feel like a conversation.
Yes.
I have to be it. There is an exchange. People are hearing me and I am speaking. There's an exchange happening there. And when you don't acknowledge, you know, whether it's people or the fact that you are expressing something, um, then it gets lost and it doesn't feel good to anybody.
You know, I saw a young man in a it was like a new piece at this college, and he was the only one on the stage in this production who didn't stare. So I was really curious as to how did he get away? I mean,
Hmm.
why was he performing and he's young and not staring or focusing, as they like to say, focusing.
Yeah.
And so I waited for him backstage. And one of my students knew him. So I said, I'd like to meet this guy. And she said, oh, he's a friend of mine. I'll introduce you. So when he came out at the end of the show, she made the introduction. And I said to him, I asked him, I said, how is it that you're not staring?
Hmm.
And he said, because when I saw my peers doing it, other cast members or other singers doing it, I thought it looked so stupid. I thought it looked, and that was his reason for not wanting to do that. And my other pet peeve is that if you're going to take a workshop, take it from somebody who has been on the stage. Do not take it from a young person who just got their degree, who's never
Mm-mm.
done theater, who's never done nightclub, who's never done concerts. Because what exactly are they teaching you? So, because what I heard from some other people, some other young people, is that when they, like this particular person, went to a workshop, that this young guy teaching the workshop was telling them to focus. So it's just not coming from teachers in high school in theater. It's also
Mm-hmm.
coming from people giving workshops. And you spoke about Broadway. Do you know there are young people on Broadway staring and focusing?
Don't I
They're
know it,
on
Vivian?
Broadway. They're on Broadway.
Yeah,
They're on
I know it.
Broadway. Now, who I like to show and talk about is if you really want to watch great performances and what they do with their eyes, baby, I got some names for you.
Drop them.
Patti LuPone is the master of delivering lyrics. Patti LuPone, Irene Page, Glenn Close, Norm
Mm,
Lewis, Jeremy Jordan, and there's several others. Audra
yes.
McDonald, great with her eyes. Great with her eyes. These are the people you need to watch because trust me, you will never, ever see them deliver a whole song staring like this. You will never see it in a million years. Yes, you do focus and paint pictures in your mind's eye to bring the audience and make them see what you are seeing. Yes, that does happen. That's your focusing moment, but you don't live there. That's the whole thing. So, Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
you have gone and done things that sometimes takes a few years. Like for instance, you got your equity card. Tell us about the equity
Yes.
card and your off-Broadway shows. I mean, this is amazing. So, literally Jordan took what she learned, went into an audition and got the role.
Yeah, and I look back even at those times and I'm like, wow, I've come so far. So it's funny that I even, saw that happen that long ago now. But yeah, I was practicing in school and I'm really a fan. The thing I loved most about being in school was seeing everything connect. I mean, from my math class to voice, to acting, to all this. And so I especially took what I was learning in vocal lessons, what I was learning in acting, and I was like, how do these go together?
Yeah, they
How
go
do they go
together.
together? Yeah. And so I started auditioning for like a few summer stock things when I could, and I had gotten my EMC card freshman to sophomore year in
Explain to them what
Vermont.
your EMC card is.
Okay, so an EMC card you used to need 50 weeks of an EMC card, which is an equity member who, like, I forget what the exact wording of it is, but you're on your way to gaining enough weeks to become a full equity member. And you have to do multiple productions and gain more points each time to then make the 50 weeks, now 25 weeks, to become a full member of the Actors Equity Association. So I did summer stock in Vermont one year, and I gained a few weeks there. And then I did my sophomore year of school. And in that year, actually at Marymount, one of the heads of the theater department saw me in the audition for the spring musicals. And she literally actually walked in the middle of my song into the room. But Vivian, I did not break my character. I said,
No.
Somebody has come in the room and I am delivering. That is a little rude, but I'm going to keep going.
Yes, you don't.
I'm in my world. Yes. And little did I know. I mean, I'm like, what would have happened if I broke? Because then she came up to me after and said, someone is directing a musical that I think you'll be perfect for. It's not for Marymount, but I want you to try out. And I said, okay. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm just like, all right, whatever. I'm like 18. Like, what's going on? So that wound up getting me my first ever reading of a new musical that then transformed, and this all took time, months later, into my off-Broadway debut.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that got me my equity card.
And this was all done. What's the span of time? Are we talking about a year and a half? Was it even that? How much time was it when you got this equity card? After school, or was it during school when you got
during
it, or
school.
after school? You got the equity card during school, right?
I got my
unbelievable.
Yeah, I got my EMC card summer before sophomore year of college, and then I got my equity card the following summer.
I mean, that is so amazing. Very different from when I was coming along, because I think my first show, That's Entertainment, that's the show that I got my equity card. It just happened just like that. I think they make it a little more difficult now, but from what you just told me a minute ago, they've lessened the requirements.
Yeah, you used to need to have worked 50 whole weeks, and that's like crazy. how many
That's crazy.
Performances. Yeah. But now it's 25. Unless you have a different experience of like, you just booked a Broadway show right off the bat and become equity or whatever,
A part of your gift also that I discovered and that you wanted to explore was the classical side of your voice. I mean, you have such a beautiful soprano voice, and you wanted me to suggest some classical pieces for you, and we did classical pieces in her lessons. We just didn't do musical theater because she wanted to explore that. Now, what does people watching saying, well, okay, well, what does that give you? I'll tell you what it gives you. If there is a role that you go in for that has several high notes, and say the musical director wants it sung with that legit sound, that classical sound, if you have that in your voice and you explore that and really work on that technique, 9 times out of 10, if you're the right type, you're going to get that job, along with belting. Because the good thing about you, Tyson, we got Jordan, is I called you Tyson.
You could call me Tyson. I was like, that's new, but
I like that too. I like that too. Hey, Tyson.
Hey, Tyson.
But anyway, the good thing about that with you is that if they want belt, you can give them belt. If they want you to sing strictly legit, you can give them that. So that's something that definitely I like to explore when I know. Now, there's some students don't have that sound because there's no imitating the classical sound if it has to be in your
Oh
voice, okay?
no, I know.
You cannot even try to make that up. It has to be there and be there naturally. And you, Jordan, have that. You have it naturally. Okay, so let's talk about when you came to lesson. Lord have mercy. These are the people.
Do you
For you
remember?
people watching, let me tell you. She wanted me. I'm talking about you to the viewers. She wanted me to pick her songs. I don't do that for my students. And the reason why I don't do that is because when you're on your own, and you will be on your own, most of the time you're on your own. You don't have anyone. When your agent calls and said, okay, there's an audition, blah 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 blah, this is the kind of music, you have to know how to pick your song. So I said, Jordan, I don't do that. I said, I'm going to tell you what to look for, and I need you to get in the habit of choosing your own songs. When you bring them in, I'll tell you if they're right or not, and if they're not right, we're going to snatch, and you will not put that in your portfolio of songs. You will not put that in your book. So I had two of my other students who were older and about to graduate. I had them have a conversation with Jordan, and she got it. And I don't think, was there ever time that you brought something in and I said, did I do that ever?
I think it was more like all of these songs could work somewhere, but they weren't all going to be added to my book, or
For
this maybe,
auditions and
yeah,
for
or
theater.
this
Okay.
shouldn't be sung in a concert, you know. It was
But
like,
eventually, you got to the point where you knew what to bring in and what was good for your voice for theater and for auditions. You got to that point. But had I babysat you, you would have never learned what that is to choose your own material.
no. And it's, again, it's, at the time I was so hard on myself because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But it was coming from that lack of
You were a
proper
baby,
training.
honey. No,
Not
listen,
having,
baby. A lot of people
yeah.
come and have never had training. You know, I like to start my students and tell them this is what you're up against. If I if a teacher does everything for you, you will never learn. You will never learn. Of course, I wasn't going to let you drown. If you were really having a different, Vivian, I can't find any music. I just don't know what I'm doing. But you never did that. I said, no, you have
I
to
never
find the
did that to
music.
your face. You should have seen me the whole
Oh,
week preparing for
no.
lessons. Tyler, if she is watching this, she's gonna be like, oh yes, I went to my best friend who's like a history theater whiz, and I was like, yo, we gotta sit down. My lessons in 6 days. This is the right after I came from your lessons. Okay, I gotta find out what we're doing next week because I was like, I'm not showing up empty-handed anymore.
But you didn't, honey. You didn't. And also, too, I taught you how to put your book in order, no loose pages, because when you have loose sheets and you're reading from those loose sheets, what happens if you're at an audition and you bring something in there that you don't quite know, or they look at your book and it's all loose. Number one, that looks unprofessional. You want your book, you want your music always in a binder. And so because if they're loose, what happens if that music drops to the floor?
You
You
better
have to stop,
acapella.
and it looks unprofessional.
Yeah.
So these are all the things that we went through. But the good thing about you, I don't think you cried in the beginning.
Not in the beginning.
I don't
It
think.
took a while for you to crack me open, and then I think maybe I cried once or
You remember
twice.
why you cried? Were you doing something that I had told you not to do several times, or were you crying because you were upset about something else? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember.
It could have been about the song choices, about
Okay.
not having material or something like that.
Then I don't think that had to be in the first few. I think probably the first few lessons, not later on, because I remember
Mm.
later on you were okay.
Yeah, no, sophomore year was definitely way better.
Yes.
And then after the cry, everything just started going up.
And I think I told you don't cry in here again. You're
Yes,
not
you did.
allowed.
And did
No.
I? No, I did
No,
not.
you didn't. Not,
No, I did
actually, none
not.
of the students do. There was one student, one student, and she kind of leaned down to get something. And I said, "What are you doing? Are you crying?" She said, "No, no, no, no." I could see her eyes all glazed over. No, no, no,
Fine.
no.
Don't blink. Don't blink,
And the
girl.
reason why I do that, and even with the conversations that I've had with directors, nah. The reason why I do that is because for the rest of your life, as long as you are in theater, as long as you're doing anything, you're always going to have somebody giving you constructive criticism. You must have a thick skin, not a thin skin, a thick skin, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody is going to put up with that. Cry, what's she crying for? You know,
Yeah.
so this, I think this is why I am, because my teachers were literally brutal with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I just want my students that by the time they graduate or by the time they leave school to have the basics of what this business is. And I'm finding that a lot of times in these schools and universities, these students are graduating and they're blind because the teachers didn't work on performance. They didn't work on anything but just building their book, which I
Yep.
do with you guys. I build your book, but that 45 minutes is full. It's
Mm-hmm.
full, down to diction, down to everything. So, okay, now let's talk about when you got an agent. How did you get an agent?
Whew. Okay, so after my sophomore year of college, I actually decided to transfer to a school to save money, but then I dropped out because I was like, this is not it. And I vowed to myself I was just gonna go hard at auditioning. So I did. I auditioned all the time, open calls, all these things. And then um people started to remember me and call me in sometimes. And I someone saw me in Sweetie, the off-Broadway, my off-Broadway debut,
Hmm.
and months later asked me to audition for a reading, a stage reading of a new musical.
Did I see that?
No, because it
Because
was
I know I
closed.
saw
It was a
you in two
closed
other.
reading.
Oh, okay,
Maybe
because I
you
saw
did
you in about.
actually.
I've seen you in three things other than Sweetie. Yeah, I've seen
The
you in three
Learned
things.
Ladies. Do you remember that?
Hmm. I Yes,
I think then you might have come to that. Okay, so that
yes.
I did in November. And then months go by, 6 months go by. In May, I get an email. I am on my 21st birthday vacation in Mexico.
Woohoo!
I look at my phone and it's like, hello, Jordan. This is this is Teresa Wolf Talent
Wow.
Group. Well, and
Yes, honey.
I had gotten maybe two. I had asked around to get seen by agencies, and
Yes.
I think I met with two of them. I was like, I really, really, really don't feel this. I don't feel this working. So I just kept auditioning. So I opened my phone on this day and I'm like, oh my gosh, this person wants me to audition for this agency on Monday and it's Friday. And I was like, oh my gosh. But thank goodness I had my book together already. I had monologues already. And so I just went in there and auditioned for them. I sang a few songs. I think sang Your Daddy's Son.
Oh, you do that very well.
That's such a good song.
But you
And
literally
then
performed the songs.
performed the
You were not
song.
staring. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't
And
see
then
that
I did
often.
two monologues. Yeah. And then they called me in for a meeting for with the
Wow.
office. And I just loved them off the bat. And I was like, yeah, let's do this.
And
And
this is the
so that's how
Teresa Wolf agency.
Teresa Wolf, I'm still
Yeah,
with them.
I know very well who they are.
Yeah.
But okay, see, for those of you watching, here's the thing.
This don't always happen.
Here's the thing. When you develop the technique or performance skills, and I always say this, I would rather see a mediocre singer who is a great performer than to see a great singer who is a mediocre and less performer, because that gives me nothing. I'd rather see somebody delve into their songs, delve into those lyrics, and bring me in, have me riveted in my seat. And this is what you want to aim for, because I will guarantee you all the men and women who have gone into audition before you, and this is based on what I know, what a lot of us professionals know, they're going to go in there and they're going to stare. They're going to do like this, deliver the song, because I've seen it happen. But if you go in there and you're performing, you're giving that agency, the people auditioning you for whatever show they're auditioning for, they are envisioning you on stage and what you are capable of doing as a performer, as opposed to just standing there, not using your arms and staring. And I think I will venture to say that that's probably how you got it, Jordan, because
Mm-hmm.
you were giving them something that they probably had not seen in a while with a young person.
Yeah, it's true. And it's also another note to say, like, it did not happen overnight. Like, I did have a very quick and fast-paced move throughout my career thus far, but there was always work being done. Like, I
Ah,
did a lot of readings. I did a lot of sleepless nights preparing for things while working three jobs and like whatever, and I said yes so many times whenever I could, whenever I got the opportunity to be asked for something or to get in the door for something, I always said yes. And they were not always fun opportunities, and they were not always
and there were
kind or
people who
good.
told you no. There were
And
people,
there were
yeah.
so many no's. Some it's silence, it's not even a no, sometimes it's just
Yep.
complete silence. um but and you don't have to be an incredible performer to you know to just keep saying yes to things. That's the point. Get better, you know
Yes.
um
The whole thing is putting your work ethics. It's all about that, to be on time when you have a job. They do not tolerate people being late, because late is money. But what Jordan said just a minute ago, what you said about, you were working, you were putting the time, you had a job so that you would be able to pay your rent, you would be able to do this. This is part of being in show business, because the thing is, as I always say, you coming into show business, you better damn well love it. Because if you don't love it, and if it's not a passion of yours, get the hell out, because it will eat you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because there are more downs in it than there are ups. But when it works, oh my God, there is nothing like it. It's magic. Magic. And the
that's
thing
exactly it.
is, let's talk about the audition process. We're not going to always get what we're going for. And we could have turned in a stellar performance. It always boils down to type. Is she or he too tall, too short, too heavy, too thin? It's a type. They don't want the kind of hair that you have. They like blondes better than brunettes. They want brunettes over oh, you don't know. Now, here's the thing. What do you do when you get sides? A lot of times you don't have the luxury of calling up. In fact, ain't no lot of times you don't have the luxury of calling up a director, asking okay, so you know what? I'm coming in to do this side for you in a couple days, and now what are you looking for so I could prepare? Child, you
I've
ain't got
never
that
had that
luxury.
opportunity.
Never, ever is that going to happen unless you're at a level
No.
where I am. And if I know, but I still wouldn't do that. So, what do you do in a case like that? You look at those lyrics, you look at that dialogue, you create a story, you create something out of that, a meaning behind the dialogue in those sides, behind the lyrics in that song has to enter into you. You have to have a reason for why you're delivering that message, a reason for how you're acting that scene. You have to come up with that, because that's the only way it's going to be believable, and you must be convincing. Now, is it going to be what the director was looking for? Is it going to be what he came up, a choice that he came up with for that particular scene? Maybe not. And nine out of 10, it may not be. But what the director sees in you is that you came in and you made a choice and you were convincing. And a lot of times when you're that convincing, and I've seen this happen time and time again, you could bring them something that they hadn't thought about, a way of doing that thing that they hadn't thought about. But whatever you do, don't ever go into an audition second guessing what that director wants. You have to make a choice. You don't know what that director wants. You have to be convincing and you have to be inside of those lyrics, inside of that dialogue in the scene. What is your process, Jordan, when you get sides?
It's exactly that. It's exactly that. It's actually, and I used to stress about it or whatever, but it's actually so silly.
Yeah.
It's silly to try and be like, well, let me try to create something that they want when you
No, you
have
don't know
not
what they
been
want.
given in any information. So
You
what
don't know
I
what they
can
want.
give you is what I got. And if
Yep.
you don't like it,
But the bottom line is, no, they may not like it, and it
yeah.
might not be what they're looking for. But let me tell you, when you go in there with conviction, they could turn around and say, yeah, that was good, but let me hear you try it this way. See,
Always
let's see,
notes. Mm-hmm.
and they don't have time for you to process. You must be able to turn on a dime.
Mm-hmm.
That's what live theater is. That is what, when you're doing straight drama, is. We're not doing television, we're not doing movies. This is what theaters, a director says, I want to see it, try it this way. You have to be able to do that. Don't get something so fixed in your head that you can't change it if they ask you to.
Well, that's actually a part of my process is, especially if I have enough time to really do it, and sometimes most of the time you don't, but try it before you get into the room multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a challenge of imagination. It's,
Mm-hmm.
what if this person, just was grieving over the loss of a loved one yesterday? Or what if they just got in a relationship and they're saying this and they're super happy right now? Try it, and it doesn't have to be so overwhelming. Pick 3 different ways that it's the first offering when you're performing this in an audition. So they know that it's not going to be absolutely refined. You're just going to go in there with your best work
And be
and
convincing about it.
be convincing. And when I've practiced it multiple ways, then I find it's more flexible if they do ask, wow, that was cool, but what if you did it this way? Or what
Mm-hmm.
if this person thought this way? I'm like, oh, I already did that way. So let me just
Mm-hmm.
show you what I've been working on. Or it's being fluid, being playful.
And also, what a director sees is that you take directions easily.
Mm-hmm.
You can take a direction and implement it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, show business is crazy. It's hard, but guaranteed, if you put in the work, because no one is going to hand you something on a silver platter because you think, well, I'm great and I should be doing this. And show business does not work that way. The whole thing is, if you're not working, constantly be working on your craft so that when you get that call, you're ready. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about you, Jordan, is that not only are you a wonderful singer and a wonderful musical artist, you're a wonderful actress. And the two go together. They go together. How many times did I tell you guys, let your dance influence your arms? You can't
Yeah.
be like this. There's actually a super, not a superstar, but a star who holds their, I'm not going to say he or she, who
I feel like I know who you talk about.
holds
We'll,
their
we'll talk
arms
left.
like, yeah, holds their arms like this. I didn't know it until I looked at a video the other day. I said, oh my God. I didn't know. I had no idea. And so you c- you have to have energy in your hands too, and your arms are also meant to be part of your interpretation, right, Jordan? Because you can't stand there
Absolutely.
with your arms like this, like two appendages, and they're just hanging at your side. Because then what happens? Here you are, you're focusing, you're looking straight ahead. You're not veering to the right, veering to the left. You're looking straight ahead, and then your arms are not moving. You know what you look like? Cray cray.
Mm,
It looks like something is wrong with you. So, Jordan, are
yeah.
there anything else you want to say to any young people watching this and watching you and
I would like to say observe, even what you just touched on. It relates to every part of performance, period. Acting, dancing, singing, whatever, writing, or yeah. When you're getting ready or trying to create things, you have to observe every part of people, every part of people. When I say that, I mean listen to the silences that happen between people in conversation.
Yes.
Watch the arms. This whole time, I could have been singing a song to you right now, and the way that I'm talking is I can't help but move my arms to
Yeah.
explain. That's life. That's what we're trying to do. So,
Yes.
so to eliminate that is going against the whole nature of the whole craft of performance.
And also, too, with the arms, and I will deal with this with my students. I said, I need you to move your arms. I'll be the first one to tell you if your arms are upstaging you, because there is a point where you move your arms too much and they can upstage you. Then people are looking at your arms instead of watching you deliver this song. So you have to find that balance, because there's nothing wrong with your arms down at your side during a portion of your song. But having said that, there still has to be energy in your body. Never
Mm-hmm.
slumped unless you're playing an old woman or someone who is incapacitated. You should
Mm-hmm.
always be erect, full of control. And when you walk into an audition, they just don't look at you when you're directly in front of them. Hi, my name is Jordan Tyson. They look at you from the minute you come in that door.
Yep.
You must be sure of yourself without being cocky, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be sure of yourself that you have something special to offer. And another thing is, I have to talk on this too just for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
When you get a show, there is no me time, meaning you got 10 to 6, and then after 6 and you get home, you don't go over your lines, you don't go over the stage, you don't do nothing, because that theater time is over. It's now my time. No, you don't have your time until the piece opens. And if you're really on top of your shit,
Not really.
you will always keep working to make it even better
Exactly.
and better. I mean, I don't know what you do, Jordan, but baby, I love the process, because I get up in the middle of the night trying to remember those lyrics. Okay, it was the lyrics. Okay, now what was that scene? What was that dialogue? Okay, what was that? What were those steps at the choreography? I love the process. What do you think about the process?
I feel the same way. That I actually love the process and rehearsal time more than I
Yes.
love the performances. I
Yes.
love I love asking questions all day long. And then doing something and being like, nope, that wasn't it. Try the whole scene again, and doing the dishes and doing my dance steps like, oh, I don't know what that was. It was something else. I completely agree. And that was a little, not a rude awakening, because I've heard of people just being like, you know what, when I get out of work, I have to cut it off. And I completely respect that. I just don't know how to put it down.
Okay, they may want to cut it off to have dinner or whatever, but here's this is how this works. When a choreographer or a director, or if they happen to do both, when they have staged something, or a choreographer gives you the steps, if you don't go home and work on that, that means the next day when you come into rehearsal, they can't continue, because you didn't work on it. So you're probably fumbling because you can't remember what they gave yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's dangerous to think that after 6 o'clock, which is equity hours, 10 to 6, is me time. You really don't have me time. Of course, you want to take the time to unwind, to have your dinner, to have some tea, even to have a drink if you so choose. But at some point, you have to pick up the notes that you've written down for the day,
Mm-hmm.
look at them, and then work on what you learned that day, so that it can
Yeah. I
continue.
also I find a lot of times that when I am in rehearsal spaces and the time comes to go home, it's almost like I
You don't want to go home.
feel, I mean, but I think about how much work has been put in before I even was able to get into this room.
Yes.
The sleepless nights that have been, that the writers have been up writing this show, and how many mornings the choreographers have been creating all these things that they are offering me to join. And it's like, well, I will rise to your occasion. You have done so much, and it's only right that I, meet you where you are.
Well, bottom line is you really basically don't have a choice, because let me tell you how cold this industry is. You come in there too many times late, they will fire you. If you're not doing the work and going home, doing your homework, and so that they can continue the next day, and I'm speaking on behalf of the musical director, the choreographer, and the director, and even the stage manager, because what you might not know, and there is a video on stage management, what they expect from their actors, they write everything down. It goes into the computer, which is then sent to the director and the producers. So you should know that. When you behave badly, and you're mistreating your fellow cast members, all of that is written down. So you would want to get in the habit of doing your work, getting along with people, not being defiant. And there is nothing wrong. Don't misunderstand me. There is nothing wrong. Like if you have a scene or a way that you've come up with of doing a song or just something you want to try. I did it long before I got nuisance power. Nuisance power is if you had some success and you can afford to be a nuisance in that. Okay, I can do that. I can say, I'm okay. What are we doing here now? So, but even before that, I always wanted everything that I did, whether it was on the stage, in concerts, nightclubs, or theater, to be the best that it could be. So, say a director gave me something, a direction, and I thought, now I'm going to do it the way he wants it. Then I will turn around and say, okay, I like that. I want you to watch me try it another way. And it all depends on how you say it. It's always got to be out of respect. So, and most times they'll say, okay. A lot of times, I would say probably most times, they probably liked better my choice than what they came up with. And sometimes they don't. If they say, well, yeah, Vivian, that was really good, but I kind of want to keep it my way, then you have to accept that. You have to accept that. You can't be defiant, because that's another way you can get fired.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, this was so great. You have to know that I am so proud of you. What about a manager? Do you have a manager?
I'm talking to managers right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I think for me is going to be really great, because my agent is awesome and on a personal level helps me. But to have a manager, I think we could really get to the nitty gritty of creating a real, method of.
I think, let me tell you my thoughts on that. I think if something comes along where it's going to catapult you into, something really big, a manager is absolutely necessary. I was managed by the owners of the Apollo Theater. This is before theater.
Yeah,
I was
I
still
remember
in
that.
Juilliard, and basically they made me watch the shows when I wasn't in school. And so I learned all about performance, microphone technique, and it was wonderful. Not everyone is afforded that opportunity. And I had a manager one time after that. But a manager, yeah, is worth their salt. Because I always say, if you're going to get a manager who can do things that you can't do, who can open doors that you can't open, to make it easy for you, because you're going to have to pay that manager a commission.
Oh,
So you
yes.
want to make sure that they deliver. If it's just a manager who's hoping that you have enough followers on social media so that they can kind of skate along, that is not a manager. A manager should be able to open doors for you, because they have to have those kind of connections. And if they don't, then I wouldn't get a manager until you find that kind of manager.
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
The one, like the agent is working out for you, and that is
Hmm.
great. So thank you, baby. Thank you so much for this. Just know that you were a wonderful student. And see, all the stuff that I made you do is paying off now, right?
It is. It is tenfold. Thank you so much, Vivian. I love you, and I love always talking to you about crazy
Oh,
stuff.
oh, listen, I love you too. And trust me, when I tell you, they know I'm crazy. I curse it. What? But they know I love them, and they know that I only want the best for them. Listen, where can they see you, Jordan? Do you have a Instagram that you can
Yes.
so they can
Follow
follow
me.
you?
Follow me on Instagram. It's at Curly Broad. Also,
Wait a minute, hold it. Curly
want me to
Broad,
spell that
like
out for you?
CurlyBroad.
That's me. That
I
is me,
love it,
baby.
Curly Broad. All
You
right now.
already know who I am once you click on my name. You can follow me there on YouTube. I have all my links on there.
What about Facebook, or do you do
Not
Facebook?
on Facebook, but I have YouTube. I have SoundCloud. I
Oh,
have a
good.
website, jordantyson.com. You can find all that on my Instagram.
Oh, honey, I am so proud of you. See what can happen when you work hard. She's living proof, and she's young. So you can't give up. But the one thing I do know about you, Jordan, is that you have put in the work. You have put in the work and the time. You have done what is necessary to succeed in this business. And I think we can all see the fruits of our labor. And don't forget, success is relative. It's the goals that you
Yeah.
set for yourself. You don't necessarily have to be a household name to say that that's success, or that's, it's whatever you deem for yourself. And so I wish you the best continued success, honey. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Vivian. And thank you for doing this series. It's so helpful and amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you, viewers, for checking this channel out. And I will see you the next time. Wave bye bye.
Bye.